Good morning, everyone. It's great to see so many of you today. Wow, what an amazing morning. Thank you, band. That was great. I just wanted to start off by saying, if it's your first time today, I remember when I first went back into church environment and just those feelings of like nerves and like, what's it going to be like? Who's going to be there? Will anyone actually like see me? Well, and all of it, like maybe we'd probably say like making us a bit stressed or anxious, and that's perfectly like normal. And but we try to do everything we can today to say like make it as easy as possible. And we just so grateful that you took the time out to be here. But as Em said before, we've got Growth Track coming because we know this is a great space to connect. But actually, life isn't about connecting. It's about relationship. It's about friendship. And so that growth track next week will be a fantastic opportunity for us to get to know your story, for you to get to know a bit more about our story, but to get around the table. We're foodies. We love having people around, and we know there's nothing better in life than being around the table, enjoying some food with some friends, and getting to know people. So that's what Growth Track is going to be. So just a massive shout out to that and that connect. It's really to build friendship. And that's our heart throughout the whole of this relaunch. And so this relaunch, just to give it a bit of context, is we were meeting in a dance studio in town, DanceWorks, and we outgrew it. And then we moved here a few months ago. But rather than just continuing to do church the way we were doing, we wanted to shift the focus away from ourselves and onto people like yourselves. And so when we're talking about your place, your people, your purpose, it's because we're passionate about you finding some friends. And those friends, they become like family, but also a place to call home. But also, we believe that there's purpose over every single one of you. And so even with this series that we're getting into, it's a 4-part series, of which feel free to come back for all 4. There is something around, there is more. And I believe that there's actually in every single one of us, there's a God-shaped hole in our heart. And what we do in life is we try and fill it. And we live in a town that's very affluent. And every time I seem to go to the shop, I drive past the Aston Martin garage and the Rolls Royce and the Bentley and the Ferrari. And I just want to do to the groceries. But we live in a town where wealth is prominent. And people have tried to fill their life with wealth. But it might be your career. It might be your possessions. It might be just trying to fill that sense of purpose. Maybe sometimes it's maybe a bit like drugs or alcohol. I don't know. There's a whole range of different things that we can do to almost like fulfill that need for more. And so this series, I believe, is going to actually answer some of that. In fact, we believe as Christians that actually that God-shaped hole, only God can fill. And so hopefully today, I'm going to give a bit more clarity around that. We're going to be looking at this scripture to kind of like just to underpin this series. It's from John 10:10. It says, "The thief comes to kill, steal, and destroy, but actually, Jesus says, I have come that they may have life and have it to the full." And so Jesus comes to give us life in all of its fullness now, as well as the next life. It's not just about getting to heaven and not going somewhere else. Actually, it's about living a life here now that has purpose, that is full, and we can enjoy. And now I'm not making a sales pitch of like, hey, put your trust in Jesus and life will be easy. Sorry. That's not been my experience. Someone asked me like this week online, I was like, do you believe in the prosperity gospel? I was like, well, it'd be nice if we did. But my experience actually has been that life continues to be full of high moments and low moments, but actually I've got someone that helps me get it through it. And I've got people around me that cheer me on and as well. And so, that's our faith gives us strength. It gives us peace that transcends all understanding, that makes no sense. Anyway, right. So where we are. I've got lost again. We all have like that inner voice. And I believe that inner voice actually is that God-shaped hole. It speaks to us. And it wants to like call us into the more. And hopefully today we'll talk a little bit more about that. So we're September, nearly in October, and it's a long time ago since we did January and New Year's resolutions. Hands up, did anyone make any New Year's resolutions this year? See this? it's gone. It's gone. The last lot were like this as well. Like no one gives up on them because no one starts them anymore. It's just such a thing, isn't it? But anyway, yeah, I didn't make one either. So we did something else. But I do go through this thing in life where where we try and we around New Year's resolutions, don't we? We like, I'm gonna start that diet. I'm going to do this exercise plan. Or I'm going to be better this year. I'm going to be kinder this year. Or we do something that actually want to bring a change. And for me, I have this like ongoing thing around fitness over the years. Sometimes I absolutely nail it. Most of the time, I absolutely don't nail it whatsoever. My wife, Emily, she loves fitness. She's doing these HIIT sessions. They look stressful, and she's always going for a run. She's getting on a bike. She takes the kids. We've got 4 kids, so that's a bit of an enterprise getting them all on the bikes to go. I don't have a bike. That's a security blanket for me. If I don't have a bike, I can't cycle. Yes. But I did sign up for an app this week. I made a declaration. I paid 18 quid. I haven't opened it yet. But I started. There's an intention there. But actually, our intentions don't always line up with our actions. And sometimes in life, that can be the same with church, can't it? Like what we intended to do. And maybe a little bit of your story might be like my story. I grew up in church. We have lots of people in this room that didn't, and they've come to faith at a later time. And that's great. We love both. But my story was I grew up in a church, and then I went away from God. I went well away from God. And I didn't expect that to be. Growing up, I just thought, I'll stay on this path. And then all of a sudden, and again, maybe this is your story, maybe it's not, but those days become weeks, and we've drifted away. And maybe you intentionally ran away, or maybe you drifted away. But those weeks become months, and those months can become years. And we never intended for that separation to happen with our faith, but it's where we find ourselves. And today, we're not coming from a place of judgment whatsoever. I am the last person that can start making judgments. But we are coming from a place of love and encouragement. And honestly, our heart in all of this is that you would find somewhere that you could find home. And it would be your place, and we would be your people. So we're not going to start judging. We're not going to say, oh, come on, what have you done? No. No, that's not our heart whatsoever. Another intention, I was prepping this, was many years ago, we used to live in a lovely village outside Hereford. And one day on the way to work, I had to go across the river. And like happened a couple of weeks ago here, everything flooded. And so I was driving, we had a little second car, a little Toyota Aygo, 1 litre, properly revved it just to get it moving. It's a unique sound. Not that from the Aston Martin garage. Anyway, I was like, the road closed sign was out. I was like, it's going to be another 30 minutes to go around. So I was like, I'll go have a look. Cars are coming through. I was like, it's all right. It's a fake sign. Let's ignore the sign. So I did that thing where you go round the sign that says road closed. Pride comes before fall. And I was like, I got to the bottom and I could see the rivers like flooding over the road. But over there, I could just see a little bit of dry land. And it was that time of the morning, do you know, where the sun's not come up, but there's a little bit of light. It's quite dark, obviously rainy, hence the floods. And I was like, right, I want to go for it. So off I go. And it's about half a mile, this causeway. You should have read the memo, really, shouldn't I? Anyway, so off I go, and the river's it's quite strong current. So I drive on the wrong side of the road, playing like donuts with vans coming the other way, because it's a little bit less ferocious on that side. And so I'm like wrestling away. And I have never prayed as much in my life, people. And I was like, I've got to get through this. Not only that, I should probably say, my wife's family, they're farmers and family, and basically they farmed fields on this side for generations. So I'm everyone knows who I am in the village because of the farming thing. And I'm about to put our car, I can't even remember if they're still farming, but I'm about to put the car in the field that belongs to the family. I'm going to get absolutely nailed by Em's grandpa for destroying his fence, and everyone's going to know what an absolute plonker. So I am praying for my pride, I'm praying for my safety, I'm praying for the car. I get through, people. Just somehow. But it wasn't my intention to have to go on that journey. I just wanted to get across to work. But maybe you're of faith or not of faith, but you maybe even in an aeroplane and you just pray prayers when they go through that turbulence. It's like, just Lord, please get me through, get me safe, get me to the other side. And maybe we say things that we didn't intend to say. It's like, oh, if you just get me through this, God, if you're there, I'll do anything. Just please get me through. And then when we land, it's like, oh, I said some things there. Oh, take them back. Our intentions don't always land with our actions. And I want to just talk briefly about a chap in the Bible that actually I think does this quite a bit. And we love this book in our church. We try and do everything to make it contemporary and accessible, but for us, the message, we just don't change that. But we love this book. It's full of life, and it's full of characters that we can relate to. And so I want to look at a guy today called Peter. He's one of Jesus' 12, arguably is one of the top 3. And basically, they're picked. And what I love about Jesus, he didn't go to the local rabbi school and go, do you know what? You are the best. Let's go for the academic. He went for people like me, and maybe like you, that are a little bit messed up. He went for tax collectors that no one likes. Maybe you love a tax collector. I don't. Thankfully, I've never had one at my door. He's just checking. I'm just checking my... Anyway, no, I haven't. But he also had fishermen, down-to-earth people who put in a proper shift. And these are the people that Jesus went to. People had no background. They hadn't passed the test. They hadn't got the knowledge. But Jesus picks out these people and says, let's go on an adventure together. But Peter in particular, he's always putting his foot in it. He's always just going straight in. And I want to fast forward to the night before Jesus dies. And we've got this situation where Jesus is basically, he knows what's happening. And he's trying to almost prep his friends, but also his followers. And he's like, guys, it's going to be a rough night. This isn't going to go how you think it's going to go. And we have this exchange where Peter, being classic Peter, starts to talk. And he says this, it says behind me, read with me, it says, Peter says, I will never fall away on account of you. I never will. And you have this one for free. Never say never. In life, as soon as you say never, you're connected to that thing. And it's like, from then on in, you're just being dragged in. And so whenever I've said never, I've ended up doing it. I'd never go back to church. I'd never become a pastor. That's going well, isn't it? Okay, God, but never don't do it. Oh, there we are. Anyway, but then it says, truly I tell you, Jesus answered, this very night before the rooster crows, the cockle crows, you will disown me 3 times. But Peter declares, even if I have to die with you, I will never disown you. And all the other disciples said the same. And so here we've got highlighted in white the intention. There's the intention of, actually, I'm all in. I've got your back. Spoiler alert, doesn't quite work out that way. So we then go forward. Jesus is taken away. And even when he's been taken away, he starts to deny Jesus. He starts to say, no, I'm not with him. And so if we go to the next, there it says, after a while, Jesus is taken away. And because, as we can see in a moment, he's got a different accent. They're from a different part. I'm from Yorkshire. I know don't quite have the accent anymore, but I am from Yorkshire. And so, maybe, there we are, got one. It's like the Welsh. We kind of congregate. There we are. I knew that would trigger one. But there's something that makes them stand out. And so after a little while, those standing there went up to Peter and said, surely you are one of them. Your accent gives you away. They know who Jesus is. They recognize him. Apparently he's been on social media. No, he hasn't. But Peter has been with him. And so it's like, you're one of them. You got the accent. I'm sure I've seen you somewhere. I've got deja vu. I recognize you from somewhere. And then he begins to call down curses. He's getting passionate. It's like, no, I swears to them. I don't know the man. So he's denied him, and he's denied him once before. And at this moment, the rooster crows. So Peter's denied him 3 times. And Peter remembers the word Jesus had spoken. Before the rooster crows, you will disown me 3 times. And he goes outside and weeps bitterly. He weeps bitterly because he knows his intention hasn't matched up with his action. And this morning, I want to say, whatever has happened in your life, Like, it doesn't need to stop there. Like, don't limit yourself at all. So, what Peter then goes on and does is he actually cancels himself. We live in this society, don't we? It's like someone puts something up on their social media profile, years and years ago, particularly like politicians or celebrities, and then it's like it no longer matches up with what they're saying or what society demands of someone years later. We just cancel them. But what Peter does is he cancels himself. And again, maybe this is something that some of us can relate to. It's like, and as I'm going and sharing this morning, you're going, yeah, but I can't do that. You don't know what I've done. You don't know where I've been. You don't know what's happened to me. And so our failure can cause us to cancel ourselves. And that's not God's heart for you at all. At all. So Peter has denied Jesus 3 times. The next day, Jesus is on the cross dying. And scripture says that there's John and there's some of the women followers as well, Mary. Peter's not mentioned. So Peter, he's taken himself out. He's like consumed with guilt. He's consumed with shame. And he's like, I just can't be there. He's cancelled himself. And so when Jesus is in that moment, and if you just for a moment don't think of Jesus as the Son of God, he's a human going through. He's been beaten. He's been humiliated. He's in absolute agony. And he's got some of his friends there, at least with him. But one of his closest friends, he's not there. He's not present. He's gone missing. When arguably Jesus would have loved, I'm sure, from the humanity, his friend with him in that moment. But Peter can't. So Jesus then dies. He's then resurrected. Easter Sunday. Whee! That's the Easter story done. And then Jesus starts to appear to his disciples. And there's this moment where Jesus appears to a room and Peter's there. And there must be this tension because he's not seen him since he denied him. There's this tension of like, I let you down. I disowned you. When it actually said, when I said I'd be there for you, I would die for you, I clocked out. I wasn't present. And then Jesus disappears, and then he keeps on appearing and disappearing. And we've got this kind of goes on a bit. The next time we see is Peter goes fishing. He goes back to what he knows. And so Peter's been on this amazing adventure. He has seen people raised from the dead. He has seen people that are blind see. He's seen people that are paralyzed walk. He's seen 5,000 people filled with a kid's picnic. Like, he's seen some amazing, amazing things, but because he's cancelled himself, because he knows he's let himself down and he's let Jesus down, he's gone back to what he knows. I'm a fisherman, so I want to go back to what I know. I want to go back to the thing that I can control. I want to go back to the place of comfort because that's a safe place for me to be. And so we've got this scene where they go fishing, and we'll pick up the story now. So Simon Peter, Thomas, Nathanael from Cana in Galilee, the sons of Zebedee, and 2 other disciples were together. I'm going out to fish. And Peter's in a bad way. He's consumed with guilt. And I reckon the disciples are like, yeah, do you know what? We'll go with you. Let's not leave him on his own. We'll go with you. So they went out and got into the boat, and that night they caught nothing. You can't even go fishing and do that well. Like, he's a professional fisherman, but he can't catch any fish. That's not very good. And so the failure is compounding. And early in the morning, then we have Jesus stood on the shore. But the disciples didn't realize who it was. I imagine like the sun's coming up. It's probably not flooded. It's probably not in an igo. But there's that kind of like time of the morning where the sun is coming up and you can see there's someone on the shore over there. And this man shouts out, friends, have you got any fish? No, they answered. Then they must be shattered. I don't know if you've ever done an all-nighter, whether you've had to do it for work or maybe you've just been out partying and you've got back late. But when the sun comes up, like there's this sense, isn't there, of like your body is tired. There's a slight glaze, but you know your body's telling you it's time to get some rest. And so they hear this voice going, put your nets out on the other side. And what I love about this is this has happened before at the beginning. And when they did, they were unable to haul the net in because of the large number of fish. And if we just go to the next bit. Then the disciple whom Jesus loved, this is John writing, you can see at the bottom, it's written by John. Jesus loves me, John. Said to Peter, failure, you don't get to write a book. It is the Lord. And as soon as Simon Peter heard him say, it is the Lord, he wrapped his outer garment around him before he'd taken it off and jumped into the water. I don't get that, if I'm honest. So our daughter was doing her swimming badge this week, and she had to go in her pajamas because that's an emergency situation, and they all struggle to swim. He's putting layers back on, and he's swum 100 yards. Surely you'd be like, just, I don't know, strip down. No one's there. But he's putting layers on. Anyway, that's what it says. So that's what happened. He's left his mates towing the net full of fish, and he swum 100 yards. And when they landed, they see a fire of burning coals there with fish on it. There's something around. The first time it's happened, the nets break, and they're trying to get to shore. This time, the nets aren't broken. They're full. And they catch 150, let's go to the next bit. They catch 153 fish. And Jesus says to them, bring some of the fish you have just caught. So Simon Peter climbed back into the boat and dragged the net ashore. Thanks. And it was full of large fish. If you've talked to a fisherman, I imagine they're all massive fish. But he's caught 153. That's a lot. They're fishermen. They can sell them. They've got income. They're being blessed. And then they go and have breakfast. But it's not really about the fish. It's not about what's happened here. Jesus has provided their needs, but it's not about that. The net was broken, and now there's a healing. The net isn't broken this time. There's a healing. There's a completion that's coming. And so none of the disciples dare ask him, who are you? They knew it was the Lord. There's this mysteriousness. And I guess if you see someone that was dead and now isn't dead, there is a mysteriousness to that. Jesus come and take the bread and gave it to them and did the same with the fish. But what I love about this is Jesus is there on his knees at the barbecue. And so there's not loads of lights behind. He's not that chorus of angels. It's not like heaven down on earth. There's just a man on his knees on a barbecue preparing a place to cook some food. And this is why I love Jesus, because he's always about food. It's relationship. He's around the table again. He's got a barbecue on, but he's also serving them. This is God serving them again. And he's done it before. He's been washing their feet a few days ago. There is something around Jesus that comes to serve. He doesn't come to judge. He doesn't come to rule you out. He comes to serve you no matter what. This is Peter who's just disowned him, who's messed up again. And what happens is Peter is restored. It's like, feed my sheep, not fish. Feed my sheep. Look after my sheep. He's calling him. And actually, the one that Jesus loved, he writes a book. But on this rock, Peter, Jesus builds his church. And what a beautiful thing. And this is a part of us today. We're connected almost. And I love that because Jesus didn't build it on the goody two-shoes. He built it on the guy that messed up, which makes my life a lot easier. And it can make your life a lot easier as well, because we don't have to have it all together. Right, I've got a few points just to wrap this up. So, dare to cast your nets out again. You may be feeling tired from life. You may be feeling exhausted from everything that's happened. You may feel as though you may feel like you can't do this. You can't do the thing you're supposed to be able to do. But Jesus is there saying to you today, cast your nets out again. Put them on the other side. Let's go again. He believes in you far, far more than you can get your head around. And he's like, go again. Go again. Maybe you've been in church before, maybe you haven't. But today, maybe give church another shot. Maybe this could be your place. Maybe we could be your people. That's our prayer. That's our honest prayer today. Is there's something that's so beautiful about when people gather and all of a sudden find friendship. You don't need to do life alone. We have this phrase doing life together. And it's basically do you know what? Life is going to be hard at times. But it's better to do it with people that have got your back. People that are praying for you. People that are encouraging you. We've had seasons of life when we've had kids, and all of a sudden meals just drop on our doorstep. People have got our backs, not just bless you, brother, you'll be all right, see you later. No, this is a practical thing. It's one of the reasons that we've started doing these nappy hampers. as a church to drop them off into the neonatal ward, when people find themselves rushed into hospital and they're like, what do we do? As a church, we're able to say, do you know what? We've got you covered for the next 2 or 3 days. And once you've figured it out a bit, then you're okay. But in that moment, we wanted to help and support. That's the beauty of the local church, is it's more than just like sitting in a pew or on a chair, singing some songs and going home again. It's all about being there for each other. Okay, Jesus is waiting on your shore. I love this. He's waiting. And maybe you can't make him out today, but he's there. There's another story in Scripture that talks about this son who goes to his parents, to his dad, and says, can I have all my inheritance? Dad says yes. He goes and blows it all partying. He runs out of money. He spent a fortune on living the high life, so to speak. And then he's living, feeding pigs, eating pig food. And the parable goes that basically the father, despite all the mess that the son has done, is there waiting every day, waiting, longing for his son to come home. And whether you're a son or a daughter, the Father is waiting for you. Jesus is waiting on your shore saying, come home, come home. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you've done. Maybe you feel like you've blown the inheritance, you've blown the opportunity, but Jesus is saying, come home. He's there waiting on the shore. What? He's preparing a meal for you. He's cooking, he's back in the barbecue saying, come home, come on, come on. Come on. He's beckoning you in today. Don't stand there. Jesus cares for you. He cares for you. And so he's not here to judge for you. He's there to love you. He wants you home. He's cooking you a meal. He'll wash your feet. He'll provide for your needs. He wants to take care of you today. So your greatest failure cannot overpower the cross. No matter what you've done, no matter what you feel like, you're going, yeah, but Jesus goes, do you know what? I've got a trump card for that. I've got an ace. It's like a game of cards. I'm not supposed to talk about that in church, but anyway, let's go for it. And so whatever it's like, I did this thing. Jesus goes, yeah, I've got the cross. It covers it. Yeah, but you really don't understand. I said this or I did that. I've really let a lot of people down. I hurt people. Jesus goes, yeah, I know. I've got the trump card. It's covered. And so no matter what you think you've done, the more wrong you've done, the more Jesus goes, yeah, I did it for you. The more he's like, yeah, come home. You can't outgive God. And the biggest act of love and generosity was Jesus saying, do you know what? I'm going to come to earth. I'm going to be born in a cowshed. I'm going to become humanity, not into a palace, but into a stable. I'm going to live a normal life, and then I'm going to die for you. I'm not going to do anything wrong, but so that you can have forgiveness, you can have peace, you can have a life in all its fullness now, as well as eternal life. Because ultimately, we're in this series called There Is More, and there's more grace for you. That's the message today. There's more grace. Grace, we've called our daughter Grace, and that's what kind of like, it's like a name or it's something we say before we eat sometimes. Grace means the unmerited favor of God. There is nothing you can do to earn it. There is nothing you can do to repay it. God just gives you it. And it's to say, son, daughter, you're forgiven. I love you. Forget about the past and let's look to the future. You can't do anything. And religion would tell you, and this might sound a little bit confusing. Religion would say, yeah, do you know what? You've got to stop doing that. Don't do that. Don't say this. Dress this way. It's like, become a Christian. Put some chinos on. Be nice. No. It's about relationship with the Father. All the stories we've said this today about relationship. And for us, faith in Jesus is about coming to a relationship with the Father and saying, I want to follow you.